let's review some stuff that you learned in geometry about triangles. One of the biggest ideas that gets seen over and over and over and embedded into lots and lots of questions is the idea of the Pythagorean theorem. A couple of things you need to remember about the Pythagorean theorem: it is only for right triangles. That's a triangle that has a right angle in it. So it's only for right triangles. So if you have a right triangle, it's got two legs and a hypotenuse. Oh my goodness. Let's just try the shape tool. Let's do this. This will make a much prettier triangle. There we go. Okay. So a right triangle has two legs and a hypotenuse. So we got leg, leg. So the legs are the sides that touch the right angle, and the slanted side is always the hypotenuse. There's a formula for how you calculate any side of a right triangle. If you label the legs A and B and the hypotenuse C, it's A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where A and B are the legs and C is the hypotenuse. So let's look at one way that you could see a question about the Pythagorean theorem. And it's this question right here. The lengths of two legs of a right triangle and triangle ABC are shown below and given in inches. The midpoint of AB, so they want to know the midpoint, so somewhere in the middle right here, is how many inches from A? So they're asking me, what is this length to the midpoint? Well, midpoint is halfway, so if I know the entire length of AB, if I know the entire length of AB, I don't even like how I drew that. Let's start over. Erase. If I can find the entire length of AB, then I'll be able to figure out how far the midpoint is away. Okay, so let's find AB. It's a right triangle. I can do Pythagorean theorem. So 32 squared plus 24 squared equals AB squared. So 32 squared plus 24 squared is 1600 is AB squared. Take the square root of both sides, and AB will be 40. So if the entire length of AB is 40, how far is A from its midpoint? Midpoint cuts it in half, so each part would be 20. So A is 20 units from its midpoint, so I would choose B. And then there was another one that was similar. All right, so 20, well, this question in triangle DEF. So they haven't given me a triangle, but I'm just going to sketch one. It may not be to scale, but here we go. Triangle DEF. And I'll just throw some letters on here. It says DE is the square root of 30. And then it says the length of EF is 3. If it can be determined, what is the length in inches of DF? So they're trying to be tricky on this one because they did not say if angle E was a right angle. So we do not know if E is a right angle. So since we don't know if he's a right angle and we don't have information about any of the other angles, then I cannot use the Pythagorean theorem, so I would choose option K. Now we will do Pythagorean theorem a couple more times, but it does get embedded into some other ideas. So what are those other ideas? Well, one of those other ideas is right triangle trigonometry. Right triangle trigonometry is the sine, cosine, and tangent stuff that you did in geometry. Let me pull another right triangle here. And I'll make sure it's a right triangle by labeling. Okay, whenever you have a right triangle, The slanted side is always the hypotenuse. Then it depends on what angle you're looking at. So usually there'll be a label, an angle labeled. So let's put this angle right here. So then you'll have two other sides called the opposite side and the adjacent side. The opposite side is the side opposite this angle. So opposite, straight across. So if this is the angle we're referring to, the angle straight, the side straight across from it, we'll call the opposite. Then the adjacent is going to be the other side. Adjacent means touching, but it can't be the hypotenuse because hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. So your teacher probably gave you this acronym SOHCAHTOA. And it's a way to memorize the ratios of the trig angles. So means that the sine of the angle, which in this case is x, is the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. So many questions will just be like, what is sine of the angle? And then you give me the fraction answer. Ca stands for, well, not ca. Ca stands for cosine. So the cosine of that angle x is the A for adjacent divided by h hypotenuse. And then TOA means that tangent of the angle is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So you have a couple of questions here. Let's find one. All right, so here we have, and also right triangle trig. These trig ratios only work, whoa, that's a triangle. They only work for right triangles. So you can't use these if you don't know that the triangle is not right. So in this question, a line through the origin and point 10,4 has been drawn. The acute angle between the line and the positive x-axis has a measure theta. So it's theta is a variable. Treat it like an x. They don't know. What's the value of tangent of theta? So I can just drop a vertical line, and look, whenever you drop a vertical line and a horizontal line, a right angle automatically gets formed. So I can use my trigonometry skills. So they asked me for the tangent of theta, which is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So from here, the opposite side is right here. So I need to know this measurement. Well, from the x-axis to the point 10,4, that change is 4. So the opposite side is 4. The adjacent side is the angle is the side that's touching theta, but not the hypotenuse, because remember, hypotenuse is always the slanted side. So that would be this side, EDJ. And I need to know this measurement. Well, I have the point 10,4, which means that the horizontal distance here is 10. So 4 over 10 reduces to 2/5. So I would choose option D. This next question, which of the following is the sine of angle A in the triangle below? So I go to angle A. This is my angle that I'm looking at. Sine of A is going to be the opposite divided by the hypotenuse.